is going to be my Europe experience. I had a great time when I was in Europe, and we learned lots of fun things. And Europe was an extraordinary place, and it had lots of different people and all different kinds of backgrounds. And my specific purpose by the end of my speech is that the audience will be rolling with laughter and want to experience Europe for themselves. So hopefully, by the end of my speech, you want to go to Europe too. So, first, let's see. Going to Europe for the first time back in the summer was the best journey I'd ever embarked on. It sparked the travel bug inside me that still lies there today. And throughout my speech, I will fill you in on all the fun that I experienced. The first thing I want to do is give you a few fun facts about Europe so that you kind of can experience for yourself. There are actually many well-known American fast food restaurants there. Every corner you turn, there was a Subway or McDonald's or stuff that I really didn't think was going to be there, but it was there. So that's pretty cool to me. And also, there were canals, which is a big source of transportation in Amsterdam. And these canals are an artificial waterway that construct to allow passages of boats or ships inland or to convey water for irrigation. And according to AwesomeAmsterdam.com, Amsterdam has 165 of these. So that's pretty a lot of canals that they've got there going on. Also, another pretty cool fact is at Amsterdam, the Anne Frank House is located there. And everyone pretty much knows the Anne Frank House. So that was pretty cool to experience too. And also, the canals were the biggest source of transportation in Amsterdam. So they would take all these huge boats and put all of their supplies or whatever and transfer it down all the canals. So that was pretty interesting to me since I got to ride down them all. The first thing I want to talk to you too about is the preparation that we had to get there. Of course, for a trip, you have to prepare, especially when you're going out the country for the first time. So I had to get a passport. Never done that before. Passport pictures are interesting, to say the least. You're not allowed to smile. Packing was the worst, because don't you at least need 5 pairs of shoes for a week and a half? I think you do. Also, they don't have washcloths in Europe. Did you know that? In Amsterdam, they don't have washcloths. So, good thing my mom knew that they didn't, because we would have been out of luck when we got there. Also, it took a full day of traveling to get there. So once you got there, you were pretty exhausted. When we first got there at 5 a.m. in the morning. So there wasn't much happening. So we got on a little trolley boat that was riding us around. And I can remember looking at all the buildings and everything, and I thought I'll just prop my head up for just a minute, just so I can close my eyes for just a minute, and I think I fell asleep for an hour on that boat. I was so tired. And the jet lag, it was terrible. So you had to wait around until 3 o'clock, and once we got to 3 o'clock to be able to get in our room, then I fell asleep again and took another nap. But of course we had to get up because we had to experience the trip. And also the time change from America to Europe. In America, we are 6 hours ahead of them. So it was really a lot of time. So when we were going to bed at 12 o'clock, y'all were eating supper. So we were texting my dad and we're like, all right, well, hope your supper's good. We're going to bed because it's midnight over here. So good night. And the next thing I wanted to talk to you about was actually experiencing Europe, the different places that we went. So one of the first places that we got off was Amsterdam, the Netherlands. This was the best place to me because it had all kinds of sights. And I'm going to show y'all. This is a painting I got in Europe. And it has all the bikes. And that was probably my favorite part of the trip was the bikes because they were everywhere. If you stepped out on a bike trail, you might as well be ready to get smushed. So, and we actually, when we first got off of Amsterdam and hopped out of the car, we were standing in the bike lane, and all of a sudden I heard something coming for me, and I was like, gosh, that's getting close. It sounded like a car, because you could hear the cars going, then you could hear the bikes coming as well, and I was like, it's kind of scary, and I jumped out the way just in time, and a bike flew right past me. And they had the little girl on the back, and the mama was driving, and they drove them just like they were cars. And another thing was that most people in Amsterdam spoke 3 languages, which I did not expect at all. When we got there, I was thinking, nobody's going to understand my southern thick accent, so that's going to be fun. But actually, most people spoke English, Dutch, and German. So over there, you knew 3 types of languages, which was really cool. And also, we went to Strasbourg in France. That was our our next destination. So we got on the riverboat cruise, which was the Viking Voyage cruise, and I'll talk about that a little later. But we got on the boat and we went to our next destination, which was Strasbourg. This was a very interesting place, and before we went, Mama was like, well, I just want to make sure that you know there's probably going to be pickpocketers, so keep your stuff close, because you don't want your stuff to get stolen. So that was kind of scary, but they really weren't that bad. Also, swans were a huge thing in Strasbourg. I don't really know why, but the swan is like for babies when people are having babies. So they always give you little swans like around, and they had big swans. They had swans that were probably here to the floor. They were huge, but they were cool. So I got that for a little souvenir so that I could remember France. Also, there was a huge cathedral in the middle of Strasbourg. It was beautiful. It was huge, and it had the biggest clock, one of the biggest clocks in the world in it. So it had, every time it would ring on the hour, it had these little dolls, and they would all move, and they would all circle around, and it was really cool. That was one of the greatest parts. And also, another thing you couldn't miss in France was gelato. Gelato was great. And then in Germany, we also got the meat and potatoes and anything that was fat with flavor. It had great stuff in Germany. And one of the things about Germany that I liked the most was when we went down the Rhine River, you could see all the castles. And it was great. I love Germany. Now, Switzerland, I only got to see for about 5 seconds. But it was cool to say we went there. We rode through it for about 5 seconds. So I really don't know much about Switzerland other than the fact that in the airport they had huge, heavy military, which was interesting. The Viking riverboat cruises was really a great experience, and they really helped everyone on the boat. They were so friendly and great to get along with. I was by far the youngest person on the boat though, and my mom was the second. So, and I also got a nickname on the boat. It was called the Princess. So I really enjoyed that. They made you feel special, made you feel like a part of the family. Another thing was coming back to America. The best part was that your jet lag. You were jet lagged again, of course, but at least you were home and you could fall asleep. But then you have many memories, and what you want to do when you come home, one of my favorite things was to make a scrapbook. My scrapbook is probably one of the closest memories I have, because it has all of my tickets. I saved all of my tickets and every map that I had when I went over there, and we bought postcards and everything that you could imagine. So this is something that I really hold dear because it shows all my memories, and I hope that all of this will help you want to go to Europe as well.